What's going on, guys? Good morning. This is Ben Naumann, and I am here with the connector, Aldridge Jack. And we are going to be talking about how to properly network in 2023. It's very important. We're going to be chit-chatting everything in between on how to network. What's going on, Aldridge? How are you this morning?
I'm great. How about yourself? Thank you, Mr. Ben, for having me on your wonderful show. And it's a fabulous Friday.
Yes, sir, of course. I always think of you as, you just know everybody. You're just the connector. I'm not sure, not everybody knows this, but you actually got me connected to my girlfriend as well.
Wow. That is true. It is true. Well, the thing is about me, I want to bring value, but I actually want to get to know people, and it has to be a genuine relationship, right?
Okay.
So if you get to know the people, you want to make sure that you can bring some kind of value, and if you can do anything to help them. And I knew that you were looking for a nice girlfriend at the time, and I know a bunch of pretty girls, but you know that also, by the way, and I just felt like, she was a good fit for you. But at the end of the day, all I can do is introduce you and connect. But it's your job is to do everything afterwards.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And you tell me that all the time too, that when we're bringing on sponsors for Flip Texas or for Patent Title, when you're even bringing on, you're doing events with Patent Title, you can only do so much, right? You can introduce people, but you can't. How do you say that to people?
I think is the thing is you got to have a warm introduction, and I'm sure you can agree. Like, for example, I introduced you to one of these sponsors, which you know very well, right?
Yeah, he's a good
and
guy.
So when we're at the Flip Texas event, I just said, hey, this is Ben. Ben is the president of the Flip Texas. I work with him a lot, And then I just step away because I did my warm introduction. It's the same thing with a text message. You think about it, when you put somebody on a three-way text message, if you introduce them with a warm introduction, then guess what? It brings more value. It makes sense. Instead of me texting you the number and say, you call the person by yourself, that doesn't bring any value.
You always really talk people up, and so you're saying, hey, this is like one of my trusted business partners, and it just makes them, it's a warmer connection.
It's more like a hype. Like one of my friends told me, and she's at the Keller Williams now Met. She goes, you're my hype man. She goes, I like how you hype me up, you know what I'm saying? But no, I'm just a positive person. But the reason why I told you, because of this book, 6 years ago, if you don't know, The Energy Buzz by John Gordon, it's all about positive energy.
So this is the secret on where you get all your energy?
No, I do, yeah. But people don't know, even as a business owner, he gives you all the questions in the back of the book to ask when you're starting to learn about your mission, your purpose, what to ask people. Look, your vision, everything's in the back of the book. It tells you the type of questions to go to. So when I started a business, especially when I started my own with Ambit Energy, I used this book and some of the questions in the back to go to a business meeting to ask these questions, and you take notes to see how are these people reacting to things, right? Because if they don't have a positive mindset, if they don't have a mission and vision that they're working on, why would you want to do business with them, right?
For sure. You can't work with that. You can't work with everybody. But yeah, I guess it starts off with the right energy. What are some things you see? What are some things you see people doing wrong with networking when they're? Because I guess everyone has networking opportunities, right? I guess wherever even if you're not going to a networking event, everyone has networking opportunities of some sort. Can you give, do you have a process that you do that? It's all I'm sure it's all second nature to you now, but
I do want to say.
Okay, say my name is Ben, and I am really good at what I do, but I'm trying to build my sphere of influence.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to build my sphere of influence for more capital partners, more private lenders, or whatever it is, right? What are your tips? And I'm really bad at say I'm not the most outgoing person.
Gotcha.
Can you give me a couple tips?
So first thing I want to say, you do want to have a coach. So I do have a coach, and you met my coach, which is Randall Chestnut. He is my business partner. He is a social media guru. I will tell people, just like anybody says, you listen to podcasts, you want to reach out to somebody, invite them for a cup of coffee, like you did to me today. Or say, let me take you to lunch or dinner. These people are not going to charge you anything if you want to get to know them and pick their brain, right? So that's what I did kind of with Randall. I met him at my previous title company, right? He had a class that's called what? The 9 Steps to the Perfect Marketing Campaign, right? He teaches the class, he tells you your homework. Guess what happened? After when you leave, guess what? Most of the realtors and investors, they don't do what? Their homework assignment. I reach out to him and say, hey Randall, can we meet at a Starbucks? I did my homework. I want your feedback to see if I did it right? So out of his 9 steps that we did, 2 of them I did not do correctly, but by me reaching out to him and he corrected me on those 2 steps, it kind of got me going, right? Okay. But to answer your question though, some of the misconception I would say that people do wrong is that Randall has taught me. If I meet you, say you at a networking event, right? And I went to one last night, right? We were there in Katy at the networking event. Once you meet somebody, everybody I met there, I made sure right away before I walked away in my vehicle, before I drove out, I text them back and say, nice to meet you, Ben. My name is Aldridge from Naumann, right? They already have my information already there. I think a lot of times what people do, they don't never text back right away, right? Mm-hmm. And then guess what? The next day I'm going to call you and say, hey, Ben, I met you at some place. You're like, I don't know you. You see how you played me already? Because you never text back right away saying it was nice to meet you. The engagement's already there. So when we wake up this morning, it's already fresh. I have all my new leads already that I met that were my spirit influence because they remember me because we text back right away before the end of the night, if that makes sense.
Okay. And so from there, so say for instance, you go to this networking event. Mm-hmm. We can talk more about what you do there, but you interacted with these people at the networking event, right? Whatever it is, and you're saying you exchanged text messages with one message where, hey, you linked up via text. Mm-hmm. So the next day you're saying you called every single person? I don't have to call every single person. The thing I want you to understand that was the most important thing, and I didn't say this, by the way, if I was at the Katy networking event out there, I always put, for example, Ben / either where I met them at, or Ben / if Joshua introduced me that night to you, I put who introduced me to you, right? So once you text back that same night, I don't have to follow up the next day, but if I ever follow up to say any day this week or next week, A, I know where I met them at, or B, I know who introduced me to that person, if that makes sense. Okay, so you remember in your head who these people are? Well, it's in my text messages, so even if I go and get the lead next week, the data's already there. When you contact them, do you have to necessarily set up a one-on-one individual appointment with every single person that you that you met at this event, or not? Because I've seen some people say that hey, you need to set up a one-on-one after that, or just maybe those couple people you think you have the highest probability of doing business with? Or? It just depends what is what was the purpose. I'll give you an example. There was 2 Goosehead people there. You know Goosehead, they always attack you, right? So I told them, I already got my preferred Goosehead people I work with, right? And then I was asking them, I said, well, how long have you been in the business? What's going on, right? So this book is what I'm doing. Is this book, Ninja Selling. If you don't know Ninja Selling by Larry Kendall, I was shown this book when I first started in Title 4 years, 6 months ago, recommended by Charlie Kriegel. Charlie Kriegel is with Win Hill Advisors. This is the book that he encouraged all his agents to read, right? So if you look in this book, and it's chapter number 16, there's an acronym that they teach you, which is called FORD. FORD means F as in Frank, O as in ox, R as in rabbit, D as in dog. And actually, when I'm talking to you, what is your family, our friends, occupation, recreational, our dreams, right? Okay. So when I'm talking to every person, and it's on page number 66, same thing like the energy bus, it already gives you some questions that you may want to be asking people when you're at the network event, which you're already there, but they give you general questions already to ask, right? So those Goosehead guys, you already know how it is. They're trying to get my business, right? It can be either with patent title, it could be ambient energy. Think about it, it's trying to get my home and auto, right? Okay. So I told them up front, I already have somebody, right? But the catch was, when I'm talking to them, I'm very strategic, right? I asked them 2 questions that I knew that would help them after when I finish this, right? I said, how can I support your business? Who can I get in front of you? My social media coach always taught me that when you're talking to whoever it is, just like you, I asked you, when you asked me about Flip Text, I said, how can I support you? Who can I get in front of you? When you first were starting the Flip Texas website, what did you tell me? I need help getting people on the what? Website. Remember you said, right? That's the whole goal. So you got to remember, you got to have some questions strategically in mind. And the FORD acronym from this book, to me, is priceless, because the 2 things you're listening for, Ben, when you ask the questions about
friends, family, or occupation, records, or dreams, you're listening for two things: pain or pleasure. And whatever you say, that's when I know how to bring value to you, if that makes sense.
This is your structure, is the Ford.
Yes.
Okay, so say you're looking for pain or pleasure.
For Tima, remember that was pleasure because you told me I'm looking for what? A girlfriend, right?
Okay.
And I said I have different pretty girls that you know I meet all the time, right? It's the truth, right?
Okay.
So right, that's the example, right? That's like what I did for you, right? But go ahead.
Okay. And then if there's pain, like so say I'm like, for instance, say I was working at a job and I was like, yeah, I just don't like the title company I'm working for right now, or I don't like the lender I'm working for right now. What would you say, like?
So for example, I would ask them, have you ever thought about using this lender, and give them three options, right? And I'll tell them why specifically, right? Title company, have you ever thought about this title company, and give them the reasons why. The reason why I give them three, because I have people all the time, like one girl, and she texts me, and her name is Rebecca. I won't say where she went, but you probably can figure it out later on. She asked me, she's like, hey, I don't have a good team lead in my real estate career. She was like, who do you recommend that I should go with? Because you know I work with different brokers and team leads. So I asked her, I gave her three choices I want. I knew who she picked, right? And then I saw on social media, I'm like, wow. And I even told her this, I said, wow, you went there? I was like, wow. I said, I must have good taste, right? Because she respected what I recommended, right? So I kind of encourage people, just like in real estate, give them the three options, but I give them reasons why each option would be great. But I want you to pick what works best for you.
Tell me about you now. What's going on with you? How's Ambit? How's Title? You have some new goals. Some new goals you're setting. For
so I did sit down with I did a what's called PFS, a personal financial strategy. So I met with my money doctor, Maria Rabella, right? Okay. So we worked on that plan this past week. So now I know my goals that I'm targeting for 2023. I'm trying to reduce more debt, pay off some more credit cards, focus on maybe my own investment property, because I did do a JV with one of my business partners, right? I guess that's what I did.
Give me a cheers.
I did a JV with one of my business partners, right? But I haven't did my own. So I think the Airbnb is really my focus maybe for 2023. I really want to do it. I know we kind of talked about the flip thing. I'm still thinking about it. But for me personally, I just want to be more focused on hitting all my goals. Make sure I stay structured. I want to travel more this year. I have 4 trips lined up. I'm going to Thailand with the money doctor coming up next year. I have Crystal. You met Crystal at her restaurant. She has her birthday party in Miami. She invited me to the yacht trip this summer.
Good.
I have Cancun with Ambit coming up again. I got back from Playa Mujeres. Was fun, all expense paid. And then for New Year's, I'm going to Hawaii. So those are my trips that I have that I want to be traveling for next year in 2023.
Those are some really big trips.
Yes. So.
I like Hawaii.
Yes.
I want to go back to Hawaii. So that's cool. Yeah, some people are. I'm not gonna name any names right now, but yeah, some people are traveling, once a month, and I think that's a little too, or once every 3 weeks, and I think that's a little too much.
Well, if you have the budget, you have the structure, right? That's good, right?
Yeah. So I can't. I like to travel, but I just can't do it all the time.
You did ask about titles. I don't know if you saw this past weekend. I did get this top salesman award for patent title. I did, so I was very appreciative of that. It was myself and Savannah.
Wow.
We both got that award, so I was very honored to get that award. And we had a nice rooftop, exquisite party that they used to do back in the day. They finally did one just for a company party. It was nice to actually meet everybody in person. You got to bring somebody there, and we had a nice, exquisite event.
What are you seeing on the title side? Y'all are still pretty busy with like agents and investors both.
We are. We have our women's brunch, which I've been inviting you, so I hope you can make the one in January. With Shay Johnson and I, and she's on closing team 2. You do work with Shay. We created what was called a women's brunch, and I do want to thank the person who helped me. So the person who helped me was Andrea Cruz, who recommended this book, was The Power of One More. And the reason why I like The Power of One More, my takeaway is that they do teach you in that chapter about how to do time management. He says instead of having 7 days in a week, you have 21 days in a week. And the reason why you have 21 days in a week is remember that you got to break up your calendar that I have my daily planner into 3 columns, right? My first time right now is 6 a.m. to 12, right? So I put the most important things. You were on my schedule today at 8 a.m., okay? The second column is from 12 noon to 6 p.m. You put the most important things in that column. And then the last column is from 6 p.m. to midnight. So when you break up your daily schedule into 3 blocks, right? Time management, I am being more organized now. And thank you to Andrea and Mr. Ed Milet because they got me structured with this book.
I love it. I love it. Do you think the average person is properly organized with their networking?
It just depends. So for me, you asking me, there was another book that we read from Keller Williams, and that was when I was at the Houston Central with Monica Montez called The One Thing. In The One Thing, it tells you, that book by Gary Keller, that you have to focus on one thing at a time, right?
Okay.
With me, I'm always multitasking, right? So for example, I know my lead generation time for the title company is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., right?
Okay.
One thing that I wasn't getting to every day that my manager gave me feedback on last week was like your emails, making time for emails, right?
Okay.
So what I did strategically, since I already had what Ed Milet told me, instead of doing lead generation for 2 hours, I just broke lead generation for what? 1 hour. So now I do my calls from what? 9 to 10. And I do my emails every day from what? 10 to 11. So once I get those 2 things out the way, guess what? The rest of the days is easy, it's great.
Are you sending out, this is a great, I'm going to ask some selfish questions here as well.
Absolutely.
Are you sending out individual emails to these people in your networking contacts, your people you want to hope to do business with, your sphere? Are you sending out individual emails, or are you taking your email database and sending out
Like a group blast? Group blast, right?
a little newsletter blast?
Yeah, no, I always send out individuals. So it takes time. You have to do these well-written emails, right? Or give out these well-written resources, right? Like this past week, we had a TikTok class with Mr. Connor Watkins, right?
Okay.
So we want to make sure that I send that individual email out and was saying, for example, hey Ben, we're having this wonderful class that can help you as an investor, as a wholesaler, as a realtor, that can show you how to make videos, right? I send that out individually, right? Now, if we're having an event for Flip Texas, do I send out a group mass? Yeah, that's different. But strategically, when I'm working at the title company, we send out individual emails if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm thinking even for me, how do I network better in 2023? Say I want some more capital partners for 2023. If maybe I'm not doing too much via email right now. So I know some of the multifamily syndicators and stuff, they have like yes, they have a website, but they're also working on growing their almost like their newsletter or their email list. So then they're doing like a weekly, almost a weekly or a monthly, or shoot, I don't know how often, but just like an email newsletter. And it says, hey, something to add value, right? Something that adds value, and then hey, by the way, we have these opportunities coming up, or hey, by the way, invest with me or whatever, something like that.
You want me to give you tips for emails?
Do you think I'm really, if I'm working on growing my sphere of influence more for investors in 2023, do you have a couple tips on where I should really put a little bit more of my effort into? And is that email? Is that taking from the networking events or from different things? Like, is that building my email list more, you think? Or
so we do get coaching on everything at the title company. One of the things we have to work on with your emails, right? So you got to remember, you got to catch their attention. You know how it is. You get probably a bunch of emails every day, right? So how are you going to catch their attention? It's the subject line. So you got to be very strategic, right? The subject line we are taught should be no more than 6 words in the subject line, right? So I'll give you an example. When you send over a contract, right, we start putting the address of your property in the subject line, right? Mm-hmm. When you do that, guess what? That's going to get your attention. Because you're going to open the email like, wait a minute, that's my property address. It must be something important, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to be strategic when you're doing something like that. Also, I would say, too, you have to bring value. For example, if you ask me, for example, like, hey, I'm looking to grow my business on the lender side, or trying to find some buyers, right? Well, then your email needs to be more specific to where in the subject line you're catching that attention, or if you want to have some kind of like educational piece, like if you need something to get their attention, right? You might say, Flip Texas will have so many people that are buyers coming to this event. If you have properties, come to this event, right? See how they'll get their attention. Like, wait a minute, let me open this email. Wow, I got all these properties. Let's make a deal, right? So these got to be very strategic, but created on how you want to catch their attention. Because if they don't open your email, then you didn't get them to do the first step. That was very important.
Yeah, step one is they need to.
So I hope that kind of answers your questions for emails.
It does. And I don't really think of. I think of networking as like a whole. It's a multi-tier approach. Do you think that people have some wrong mindsets about it?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. You know me already. I don't like to be stuck at a table when I'm at a networking event. Now I can have some of my colleagues there, especially from Ambi, right? What you saw when we did the Flip Texas event. But my thing is like what Rob Rufino, he loves, and Jason Bible, you walk up to somebody that you know, like yourself, that knows a lot of people at a networking event. They could be shy or not shy, like you said. But I say, hey, Ben, in your spirit of influence, we're here at this networking event. Who should I be talking to, right? Because think about it. You would know first who's in this room at a Flip Texas event that you know would be some great lenders, wholesalers. It could be multifamily. It could be commercial, whatever you want to say. You're going to tell me who are the movers and shakers, right? All right. When you tell me that, then I have to get you to get me to go at least say, introduce me to the person, right? I can go up there and say hi to them, which is fine, right? That's kind of like code. But if you're able to just say, hey, this is my business partner, Aldridge. I think he may be a good, connection for you. Just wanted to introduce you. I do work with him. Title, it could be electricity, whatever you want to say, or Flip Texas, right? That gives me more value when you actually introduce me, if that makes sense. That's how you're working smarter, not what harder. Because a lot of time what people do, if they're like at an event, they're like, oh, I want to sponsor Flip Texas event. They're just stuck at a table. Are you really meeting everybody in the room strategically? Or are you just stuck at a table? You're stuck at a table. If you go to a networking event and you want to meet good people, you need to walk up to somebody. Even if you say you're shy, you don't know somebody, like Jason Bible. Hi, my name is Aldridge Jack. I heard great things about you. I read you got this book. Something you did research on the person. That's when you get them to sound like, wow, this person took the time to look at my book or whatever they look at my research on LinkedIn or whatever, just like that, right? And then once you start talking to them, you built a rapport, right? But when you go to people, you got to remember, you want to put them first. People want to hear their accolades. They want to know that you did a little research on it. It does make them feel good, right? So those are things that I think that you can do if you want to get your foot in the door, if that makes sense.
Okay. Say we're doing more events for Flip Texas in 2023. What are some additional ways do you think we can, from what I'm hearing from you, as I was going to say, is how can we add more value to some of our sponsors? And from what I'm hearing from you is the biggest thing is introductions, like warm introductions. If we're thinking about the sponsors that want to work with us, we need to start thinking about them and saying, hey, who can we introduce to Taji, which you've done a great job of this already, you're telling me about today.
Yeah.
Or who can we introduce to this, this referral partner? Do you think we need to put more like thought into that kind of? And I know you're naturally doing this, but
I think for you, I'm trying to help coach you. The things where you want people to actually want to sponsor events consistently and all the time, just like him. I introduced you to him. Remember, I introduced you to him, right? I introduced him to Mr. Rufino. Remember, so think about it. I introduced him to a whole bunch of people. I invited him to my networking events just to get him in front of people, right? By me doing that, guess what he did for me? He put me in his calendar, which I was like, wow, look at that. He put me in my official calendar. I'm in August. And the reason why we picked August was my birthday is February 20th, by the way. So I am a Pisces, but February was already taken. That was number one. Number two, we put me in August because August was when I quit my job in 2018 to take care of my mom because she was about to die from dementia, right? Had no idea I was getting into real estate, but guess what? I did have a plan B. I was with Ambit Energy for 8 months, and I got my first residual check on the 15th of that month. Had no idea, so that was a blessing from God. But I have to thank who? It was John Gordon and my principal, Stephanie Rose, at Ray K. Daly Elementary, which is less than 10 minutes from here, that made us read this book, because this book is my baby that changed my life. But I'm honored that he put me in his calendar, and I just met him less than a month ago, and that's powerful.
Okay. We'll give you the plug here. How does Ambit relate with your title, because you're doing the patent title and also with Ambit? Does that kind of relates to each other?
It does, but you got to remember that I have a team of 450 people on my team. So think about it. They can run the company during the day, which is great, because I do work for patent title during the day from 9 to 5, respectively, right? So they're able to do all the, running the company, and basically as an independent consultant, they can sign up their own people. I'm still making residual off of them. I'm still making a weekly check off of them, if that makes sense, but we all work together as a team. After 5 o'clock is when I love to do the networking part. That's more of the branding, right, that I do. Any of my posts for Ambit is before 9 o'clock. Any of my posts for Ambit is after 5 o'clock, respectively, right? Because we don't want a conflict of interest. But I do the branding after 5 o'clock. So that's where you see I wear my different, hat, got my Swaglicious hat, my Swaglicious shirt, got my bling, 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 residual income ring, right? So the branding takes place after 5. So think about it, just that awareness of that, you cannot beat that, because the average person on my team, in 10 minutes, they can sign up 2 customers. It only takes 5 minutes to sign up one of your properties. Do 2 properties, they're making $100 in less than 10 minutes. To me, that's powerful for a side hustle.
And you're getting most of those contacts from like the great realtors and property, I guess just general property owners?
It's just in general. Like I said, for example, the event I went to last night was just a Katie networking event, right? It wasn't nothing specifically, right? But there were different people there, right? Different people that still want to work with me, right? So think about the 2 Goose Egg guys. They said, "Can I work with you?" I said, "I'm sorry. I already have my preferred Goose Egg people that I work with for title, but you can come to our book club, you can come to something else and get you in front of other realtors there." You see how I got value to them? Because I can't work with them, but they can come to my book club and meet other realtors and other investors, So we still can work together.
Okay, I have a selfish question here. So, and I get this, I've thought of this for other people too. A lot of times, as in this real estate space, we want to go to networking event with only other realtors or only other investors or et cetera, something like that. Do you find value? I know you said this Katie networking event was a general Katie networking event. Do you find value, or do you think maybe it's good sometimes to go to networking events that are a more general group, like say the Chamber of Commerce, or you join a lunch club or a dinner, like these more, like say it's more of a general group as opposed to specifically sectored?
You have to diversify yourself. So I go to everything you just named. The Chamber event I went last week, okay? So
I didn't know this.
Yeah, it just depends on, you have to diversify yourself, because you got to think about it. What is the purpose for your organization? What is the mission for your organization, right? With Flip Texas, and tell me if I'm correct, you tell me you want to make deals with people, right? So that kind of sounds like you want to be around people in real estate or real estate investing, right? But think about my mission for me is to share with people how I can educate them how to save money on a bill they got to pay every single month, right? And I also get free energy, by the way. So now that the rates have went up, then guess what? I still get free energy. So think about it. My mission and my purpose is to educate people. So when you have that passion and you know that's what you want to do, I can go to any networking event because I know I can educate people how to read a bill and save money, if that makes sense.
I like it.